What's up, guys? This is Kephas. Alright, we are back, leveling up in WoW, in Duskwood. Definitely one of my favorite old... Wow, look at that. Already leveled up, right off the bat, level 31. One of my favorite zones, definitely one of my older favorite zones is Duskwood. I really enjoy, like, hanging out in this zone. It's really fun. It's really, like, I need to get back to doing the stories, story videos, like the zone stories. I know people, like, enjoy those. They take a lot of work to do, but this is definitely one of those zones that I haven't really paid too much attention to the actual story, and I would love to know what the heck is going on while I'm doing all this stuff. I know that eventually, like, spoilers, we're going to, like... say like a lot, but we're going to invade a crypt, and that's going to be pretty sweet. I'd like to see what happens there. But for now, we're just killing skeletons, robbing these grave moss things off the gravestones. I guess it's not really robbing. I don't think the people that are buried here really care about us picking up, like, moss or whatever the heck this is. But, yeah, if I can actually... There we go. Yeah, okay, so we're going to keep doing this, keep running through this zone, doing what we're doing. I'm really enjoying leveling up this hunter here. I definitely enjoy leveling up characters right now because I don't feel like there's a lot for me to do with my max level characters. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that way. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing in WoW right now, in you know, retail WoW, I guess, BFA. Are you playing? Are you enjoying it? Are you invested in anything at endgame, or are you leveling up characters, getting those sets? You know, the racial sets for your allied races. What kind of stuff are you guys involved in? When it comes to in-game, most of my focus has been on leveling up characters, and I'm kind of backing off from that a little bit because soon enough, when the next patch comes, 8.2, we're going to be able to fly. So I'm kind of like, man, do I just wait until I unlock flying and then level up characters, or just go ahead and get it done now? I don't know. It's tough. Look at all this. There's some herbs here we can get. It's really tough to decide because, like, I kind of want to make it as easy as possible, but I also kind of want to get it done because once 8.2 gets here, I'd like to start making up some new guides, some class guides, and some macro guides, even though it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting any major class changes, so I don't know how much is going to actually change, but I suppose just having a new patch provides a new opportunity to focus on that kind of content. So, I don't know. It's tough, man. It seems like there aren't, like, I don't know, it seems as if, like, there's not a lot of focus on major class changes in an expansion these days. Like, it seems like it used to be, you know, whenever there would be a patch, sometimes, like, major patches would provide, you know, significant class changes, especially for classes that really needed the change. Not just, like, balancing changes, but sometimes, like, you know, a class would really go through some significant changes, some talent swapping. I don't know. It just seems like they're kind of set on what they're going to let classes be this expansion. It's kind of unfortunate because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like classes are really boring to play. I don't know. I use macros, but you know, I do that for simplicity, for making the game easier for me as a visually impaired person to play, but that doesn't mean that I don't still recognize when the base class design just feels really, really weak. And you know, I don't know, maybe some people enjoy it. I don't know how many. I know a lot of people complain about it. So I don't know how big of an impact it's going to have once the patch releases in terms of just, you know, how much new information I'm going to be able to provide to people. But I'm still going to do it because I get a lot of requests for it. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting for when it comes to new WoW content. I'm waiting for a lot of things. Like, so we're going to get, you know, 8.2, which is going to be exciting. There's going to be some new content added, some new types of content with the Mechagon stuff. I think that's what it's called, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping for the best. You know, I know that, like, sometimes Blizzard will add new types of content and it doesn't always work out very well. I mean, you've got Warfronts that they haven't really paid off very well, but at least they tried something new. I think they could have done a much better job, you know, in terms of just, like, making content that's compelling. Because, you know, we've got these Warfronts that aren't even challenging. They're not even designed for you to lose. Like, they're designed that pretty much no matter what you do, you're pretty much going to win. You the barest amount of effort is needed to have a victory in those. And I think it is possible to lose, but it's very difficult to actually lose. Which, and I was thinking about that. So, really soon I'm going to actually revisit Cuphead on this channel. I've been thinking about it. A lot of people were kind of sad to see that game's kind of halted, but it just, at the time when I was playing it, it was like a year ago, I think, I was really frustrated just because of how hard it was, and I just didn't feel like I was making much progress, so I just backed off from it. But Cuphead has become one of my personal favorite games, and part of that is because, I took a break, and I was watching, a lot of speedrunners and other people that were really good at it play. I learned some tricks and some strategies and some, effective weapons, weapon swapping and different things that people were doing that made the game a lot easier to get a handle on. And then on top of that, what was really cool is when I first got the game, when it first came out, my wife would watch me play it, and she would say, why are you putting yourself through this? This game is insanely difficult. It's like, yeah, it is. But that's one of the things, that is compelling, is that it's really hard. And, I feel like it's too hard, or maybe it's just, I don't see how I'm ever going to overcome this. But that's compelling in a way. Because, a lot of people have the mentality that, when you buy a game, then it's up to the game developers to make sure that you complete the entire game. It's something we talked about a few episodes ago when we were talking about Sekiro. I don't necessarily think that that's the right mentality. At least, I don't know. It's not for me to say what mentality you should have, but I don't think that it's the best mentality to have. It's not healthy for people to go into a video game and say, just because you buy a game, it should be guaranteed that you should complete it. I'm not saying that, games should be cheap, like old arcade games where it was, designed for you to spend more money. I don't think that's cool. Like, microtransactions, dragging games out so that you spend money. But when a game is difficult, like a game like Cuphead, a game like Sekiro, a game like old school Warcraft, I think that it's compelling to know that, if I put in enough effort and I play and I get better and I just keep at it, and I want to fail a lot, but eventually, if I keep learning and I keep improving, I'll eventually get to where I can complete this game. And there are a lot of games that I never completed as a kid that I bought. If you grew up during the NES era, how many people, you bought all these NES cartridges that you never actually beat? And it never stopped me from playing them and trying, and then switching to a different game and trying, and just having all these games. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'll ever beat these games, but they're so much fun. And eventually you do. If you keep at it, you'll eventually beat it if you put forth the effort, if the game is compelling enough. And so back to Cuphead, my wife went from saying, I don't know why you play this, to I actually want to kind of give this game a try. Can we play it together, And so over the next couple months, we would, take a couple, nights a week and spend a couple hours playing the game, and eventually we beat the game together. And it was one of the most gratifying experiences I've had in a long time playing a game, and it was one of her favorite experiences. She was doing good, and my wife isn't a gamer. She's not someone that spends a lot of time playing video games, and yet one of the games that was the most compelling for her was Cuphead. And again, she's got a job and a life, and we're married, and all this stuff that people always make these weird excuses like games should not be difficult because I have a life. I don't have the time to invest. It's, a couple hours a week, a few hours a week we played just for fun. And it was compelling because I think that, I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, but I'm saying I think people naturally have a desire to be challenged and to work at something that doesn't come easy, but if they work hard enough and they struggle enough, they'll overcome the challenge. I think that's a natural thing that people want, and it's something that can be applied to video games. People, when they play games, I think a lot of people, most people, whether you're a child or an adult, I think that there's this natural desire for that. Look at that, we're already level 32. And so, saying all that to go back to WoW and the in-game content right now, when it doesn't feel very compelling because it's not very challenging. And I think that's why, it's obviously why Warfronts didn't work out. And, other forms of content, that doesn't feel very compelling, as, when things become too easy, they're not compelling anymore. And I don't know why anybody developing a game would think, let's make content that's just so brain dead easy that, everyone wins. That type of thing, that mentality of everyone winning. Like, I don't want to be the guy, the old man. I'm a millennial. I don't want to be the guy complaining about millennials and their, participation trophies. But there is something to that logic. If we just make everything so obtainable, it doesn't become, it stops becoming compelling. And I think that kind of sums up BFA. Like, yeah, there are mythic dungeons and there are raids to do, and that's all fine and good. Look, we're already almost halfway through the next level, just turning in all those quests. It's crazy. But for some people, I think the way to do it is to have group content and solo content and make them both compelling and make them both a progression system. So that way people who don't want to group up don't feel like they're forced to. Even though it's an MMO, you can kind of cater to a certain crowd by just saying, okay, fine, here's the solo content for you to do. I think Mage Towers were that for a lot of people, and I think that's why they were very compelling. Make group content progression, so you've got normal dungeons, normal raids, and then you've got heroic raids and mythic and all that kind of stuff, and then add solo content that can be the same way. So you don't have to make this group content that is so brain dead, so that way people don't have to interact. I don't think that's the solution. Because when I do a Warfront, I might as well be with a bunch of NPCs. I've said that so many times. When I do an easy dungeon, like an old dungeon that has no mechanics, why not just let me go in there with 4 NPC mercenaries that I can hire to go with me? Because at least then, you don't have to mess with the group content to make it so easy. It says we need to go down there, but this is right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. I'm going to break away from the instructions. I'm sure there's a reason why it wants me to go do that first, but I don't care. But, I think maybe that's the way to do it. I think if you want to make WoW more compelling to more people and you want to try to reach a broader audience, have compelling group content. Make that people are going to hate this, but make that the true end game, the highest level of achievement, the best rewards come from the group content. Because at the end of the day, this is an MMO. And that's all fine and good. And that's just the way that it is. At some point in time, if you don't want to play with people, then maybe MMOs aren't for you. That's just the way that it is. But have some compelling solo content that can give you some compelling rewards, that kind of thing. I don't know. I think there are other MMOs that do that in some ways by making it more about it's part MMO, RPG, fighting and combat and gearing and classes. But then there's this other part that's building your life. It's kind of a life sim, building a money-making empire. Kind of like Black Desert. It has a good balance of, there's some group content, and then there's some solo content that you can sink your teeth in. And I think that's what WoW, it needs to have that. And I think if they had that, then it would be a lot more compelling. And then you can find ways, maybe you can get the same level of rewards that group content can get, but at a much, much slower pace through other means. I don't know. But I think that's the direction that WoW needs to go in the future, is to have compelling solo player content without, and that way you don't have to keep doing this stuff with the group content like with Warfronts. Maybe they could have done a Warfront that's more like a scenario, and you're doing it with a bunch of NPCs and you're just helping the Warfront, and maybe it's a little bit easier, but there are certain things that you have to do. I don't know. I think Legion did a lot of that stuff pretty well. Even the training the Suramar Withered guys, it was kind of some decently compelling solo content, and that's, I don't know. I feel like that's part of the problem. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about that. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like, you can support this channel on Patreon. Links to all of this can be found in the description below. This is Kephas. Until next time.